Good evening, Mukesh sir. It is.
Hi, good evening. Good evening.
How do you do, sir?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So, sir, I was telling everybody that when it comes to train the trainer program, who better than you and Amarjeet sir can be the gurus here? And I can see Amarjeet sir, smiling face.
Good
Amarjeet,
evening,
welcome.
everyone. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening, Amajit.
Good evening, Mukeshji. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Good to see everyone and welcome everyone to this wonderful show, which we've been carrying on for the last 12 weeks now. I think this is the 12th one, Saurabh.
12th week. And
Yes.
now, since both the gurus are here, I will not take the stage. Over to you, both the teachers, both the gurus.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Amajit, for the benefit of the audience,
Yeah.
we have been conducting these series of programs, the Dhakad series. And every time we brought a variety of, speakers who tried to share gyan of their specific fields. I think, between Amajit and myself, we debated it and we said it's about time that we also kind of shared some of our craft, if I may say so, of how we have built this company, which he and I started many years ago, and goes into becoming and creating a Dhakad trainer of sorts. Just for my knowledge, since we do have people from mixed backgrounds here, if you are from the training fraternity in any way, I would be happy if you put a T on the chat box. Or if you're from the teaching community in some form, then if you can share a T, it'll help me to kind of take a call. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
lots of
see that
teas.
we have a lot of people from our own fraternity.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that's
That
right.
is
Phenomenal.
huge.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So then I think that, it is for us to debate and discuss what goes into making our Dhakad, training program, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, Mukesh, I was reading a wonderful quote just now, a short while ago, and it caught my eye. And I'm going to
Uh-huh.
quote Richard Buckminster Fuller, a big writer. He
Okay.
said, if you want to teach people new ways of thinking, don't bother to teach them. Instead, give them a tool. Instead, give them a tool, the use of which will lead to new ways of thinking. So I'm
Okay.
sure today, you and I, in fact, you're going to lead the show more. You're going to give a lot of enablers and tools for new thinking to emerge. And of course, in the current times, also to cover some of the current time challenges we are having. So, one of the questions which comes to my mind, Mukesh, is that, you talked about the Dhakad training program. Now,
Yes.
what are the main ingredients of making a Dhakad program? How do you think a trainer can be successful in actually making a Dhakad program? And do you think a training need analysis, kind of an analysis, which we keep hearing the HR fraternity, indulging themselves on and engaging a lot of trainers and training companies, do
Right.
you think that makes a difference? Or what are the stakeholders' expectations? So let me have your views on it, Mukesh, so that it may benefit everyone to begin with.
Okay. Before I directly answer your question, Amarjit,
Hmm.
there is a paradox of sorts in our industry. You and I have been in this line of work for over 25 years.
Absolutely.
We have engaged with almost, all the large top corporates on a pan-India basis. And whenever we meet the corporate, what is his biggest cry? We somehow do not get the right kind of people for the jobs and vacancies that we have. In other words, what there seems to be a big yawning gap between what he expects and what he's able to attract. So by that standard, I would take it that actually the training business should have been booming by now. And if that was so, then Amarjit, you and I would be sitting on a pile of cash.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Which I
that hasn't happened.
No, but which I also assume to think as a student of economics that yes, we are sitting on a pile of good learning as well as which converts into cash also.
Inshallah. So the question, therefore, is that, is it that we from the training fraternity are not able to rise up to the expectations of a big opportunity that is there, and somehow we are faltering somewhere that the corporate perhaps doesn't truly acknowledge the value of the training fraternity to impact the capability of the people that we need to train. Now, why does that happen? And now I'll try and address the question that you posed to me. What is it that can make the training so dhakad?
Absolutely. Yeah.
One of my, experiences in this journey of 25 years is that I have tried not to offer a ready-made flat, program, a canned kind of a program off the table. There are many good programs. I don't have any grouse against those who do, but somehow, if training has to be dhakad, it has to impact outcome. And therefore, if you need to impact outcome, then it is the role of the trainer to actually understand the context, the expectations, the pain, the gain that a corporate will have in mind, because of which he wants a training initiative to happen. He has, if I may say, and I kind of pick this up, wants to cover a gap perhaps between what we call potentiality and actuality. There are people who are sitting, at certain positions. The corporate has a certain set of needs, which could be market driven, and where, for whatever reason, there is a capability gap, because of which the corporate is not able to pursue the objectives that it so wants to accomplish. Hence, whenever you design a training program, it is essential that you understand the requirements of the corporate, which means a very detailed engagement at various levels in the organization with all the stakeholders. Now, who are the stakeholders? Yes, there is the management that has a certain set of expectations. There is the person who needs to get trained. He has a certain set of expectations. And then if it's a sales program, then they could be his customers who have a certain set of expectations, or their other internal customers. So therefore, to design any training program, it is essential that we engage with all the stakeholders to try and capture the expectations and also check the reality gap. Because sometimes it is better to temper the expectations very early in the organization, in the engagement, lest you go and make a commitment and thereafter, after the execution, there is a sense of disappointment. Hence,
I remember very clearly, when I joined you way back 20 years ago, You
Yes.
gave me one of the finest tips, which I still remember, as that Amarjeet, if you need to give a Dhakad program, you need to study the organization, you need to meet the stakeholders, and this whole thing takes sometimes 2 to 3 months time before you actually get down to deliver your program.
That is right. That is right. The amount of investment that you need to do is not so much in that module which you will stand up and deliver. It could be a 1 day module or a 2 day module or a 2 hour module. It is actually the study that goes behind creating that module to try and identify from a business point of view what is it that are the pain points or the opportunity points that a training organization, that a corporate needs. Unfortunately, whenever you're called in for a training assignment, quite often you are confronted with somebody from the HR department. Now, I have I hope, I don't say something wrong. If there are some people from the HR fraternity that are sitting here, I have all respect for them. But actually, the HR department captures the need of their internal customer,
Yeah.
and then they identify a suitable training partner, which they put up in the form of a proposal to the senior management so as to impact that outcome. So therefore, whenever I'm called in by the HR fraternity and say, here is a need, and the need is we want to do a problem-solving program, or we want to do a communication program, or we want to do a leadership program, or we want to do a sales program. I find it sometimes very difficult to find the right answers from the person in the HR department, because some of them are very good and have a full understanding and a deep perspective. But a lot of other people somehow have just, noted a need and kind of passed it on to you. And you may not get the answer. So I struggle with the frustration of trying to give a proposal about which I know very little, because I've not understood the context. Of course, as a trainer, what do? I try and probe, I try and do some research on the net, I try and talk to people from the industry, but I do try and submit to them that may I talk to somebody, who is the person who's the user of this training need.
Absolutely. Who's going to benefit out of that? Yeah.
And it is there that I'm able to then probe. And when I say probe, I don't stop at that probe. I would quite often try and go and meet, that profile that needs to get trained. I would go into the marketplace and try and study in the marketplace what are the challenges as are stated by the organization, and what are the expectations, from the trade or the customer. And it is only then that I venture to make something called a proposed session plan. So the Dhakadness of a trainer is gauged by the outcome that he's able to deliver, and he cannot deliver an outcome until he completely inside out understands the context in micro detail.
Absolutely. I think if you remember in one of our previous webinars, Charu Sharma came up with a beautiful last minute 4-step process. You have the information, you do the analysis on the information, then when you put that analysis into practice or you analyze it further, you get some knowledge from it. And from that knowledge, you expose yourself by studying the environment, the markets, the people, the stakeholders. You get some more knowledge, which you can convert into a wisdom in the form of a proposal. And then finally, the program can come out like a Dhakad customized program.
Absolutely. So therefore, this is the first primary step that goes into construct of a training program. Of course, you know, we have many of us past experiences, and that is useful because quite often many people who you're going to train lack that perspective, and you are able to bring a fresh angle to the program. See, actually, we call it training. Essentially, Amarjeet and I have discussed it so often. It is consulting. We have to sometimes offer certain solutions that perhaps even the user himself has not been able to see. And that is by virtue of our experience in and out of that particular industry or some other industry which has taught us, and we feel that is possible to replicate that particular approach to this industry, and that's how you're able to give a Dhakad outcome.
So what you are saying is that preparation of the highest order, investing time in that preparation is actually the return on investment for the trainer. Because if he doesn't get the return on investment for the trainer in a knowledge sake, learning to learn, what he has to deliver on and what is the expectation is what is going to actually impact the outcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. So therefore, the more I stated, and unfortunately, I find that people have got very good platform skills, and they say we are a Dhakad trainer. You can go there and impress the audience, and you can do a pre-test and a post-test, and your feedback scores can be excellent, But the question, therefore, you have to ask yourself is, what is the outcome that has been achieved because of conduct of this training? Because do remember, there is this concept of ROTI, return on training investment. Many organizations today ask you, okay, what is the gain that I will get? How do you promise, the outcome of this training? What will it be? In other words, what? It is not the cost of your fee that is the cost that is incurred by the organization. If an organization is to bring together 20, 25, 30 people to a classroom session or to a webinar, they keep them out of the marketplace. Those guys could be sitting in the marketplace, earning, either producing some goods or selling some goods or impacting some top line or bottom line for the organization. Apart from that, if that person has come from out of town, then there is a travel cost, a hotel stay, the cost of lunch, the cost of the venue where you conduct the program. Actually, you may be getting an X amount from the organization for the fee that you charge. However, the actual expense that is incurred is perhaps a 10x of that.
Absolutely. Much more than that. Absolutely.
If you get paid 25 or 30K for a day's initiative, the organization spends well in excess of 300,000 rupees
on that
if you were to evaluate the cost of all this. So how is your program going to help him to see that he's invested, let's say, 300,000 rupees? Are you going to help him to earn 600,000 because of that one day initiative that you put in? So why the hell should he call you?
I think that is what the trainers need to be aware of, that is the expectation of all the stakeholders there, that they're spending so much of money as an investment on that particular program or that skill building or a development program, and what are they getting in return? Your fees may be just, like you said, 1/10 of it only, but the return on training investment is what they see completely. And that's one of the first things which we all encounter nowadays on any visit, even the first visit. The HR people or even the user department ask us, what benefits are you going to bring back to the table so that it justifies the investment I'm going to have on you or make on you?
Absolutely. So the fact is that, we as trainers, why is it that, training is not, so wholeheartedly welcome? I have so often experienced that there's a training program and you actually have to drag that guy from the back of his collar to come to your program. Oh my God. So is that the kind of training, and then you expect him to sit there and you are able to kind of make a Dhakad impact on it? A program should be such that, it should create such an impact that that individual should know that he is going to benefit, and the organization should know that there is going to be a benefit, and it has to be a win-win. Otherwise, if one of the other sides feels a little let down, your program is a flop.
That is what brings me to another lovely quote which I just read. Practice is the hardest part of learning, and training is the essence of that transformation. So, practice in your preparation is what Mukesh says very clearly. Spend and invest your time in your preparation, meet stakeholders, visit markets, study the environment, study the changes happening, get a hold on the expectations, and perhaps that is the step to take you towards success in sustainability of your training, credibility, as well as capabilities.
Yeah. And then to add to the fact that, listen, it's a fast changing world. The environment is changing so rapidly. You must have heard this saying, but they say that the change that's going to happen in the next 5 years perhaps didn't happen in the previous 50. Actually, God knows, I'd say the changes that are going to happen in the next 5 months, thanks to Corona, haven't happened in the last 100 years.
Absolutely.
So therefore, if you need to remain contemporary in your training, you need to be aware of the environmental changes that are impacting that particular organization, whether it is to do with the leadership behaviors, the extraneous factors that are impacting profitability, the disruptions that have happened in terms of suppliers or distributors or customers. If you're going to go there and go and talk to them about, let's say our customer delight program in an environment where the airline industry is about to more or less shut down, you're barking up the wrong tree. You got to kind of sense and tailor your input as per the real-time effects of the dramatic change that is happening around you. Therefore, as a trainer, you need to kind of constantly moderate and tinker and modify and stay one step ahead so that you are able to offer them certain solutions which perhaps is the reason why they've called you.
So you're saying that there should be a plan A, plan B, and a plan C ready with the trainer, with the market conditions in mind, and of course keeping the returns in mind, so that he's able to produce or bring about that transformation and change almost immediately and real time.
Yes, a trainer has to, have an inside out insight of the subject that he's going to talk upon, so that he is respected by the audience that is for which he's been called to that program.
And that is what is going to get him business after
Yes.
business, and that is what is going to convert into your cash.
Hence, there is a whole lot of learning, whole lot of stuff is there on the internet, whole lot of kind of what should I say, configuring for yourself. You got to kind of, change and stay one step ahead. Of course, it's a different matter that, training is one business that teaches you for every program that you conduct. Every program that you conduct, you are as much a beneficiary as the person sitting on the other side. Now, can you be prepared to answer 100% everything? No, you can't. But I think a certain logical deduction, a certain capturing of what is coming out from the participants, you are able to kind of put it together and package it in a manner that becomes an acceptable solution to what they're looking for. Trainer is not God. He doesn't know everything. But he is smart enough to understand and sense whatever he may have gone prepared with to adapt to the new context. If you're going to stick to the written down text that you want to go and deliver, here are my 20 PPTs, PPT number 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you mad?
Absolutely. I think well said, Mukesh. In fact, one of the audience is remarking on a very similar note. There's a note from Jatin Bains, who happens to be a good friend of mine in the US as a big consultant out there. He says, a thought, training is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters, actually.
Well said, Mr. Jatin Bains. I salute that. I like to steal that
Absolutely.
from you.
So it
Well
actually
said.
it actually resonates with your thoughts, which you were just sharing with the participants.
Okay.
So
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out.
So,
I welcome your
Mukesh, now that you mentioned that training is going to be, it's full of preparation, and the more you prepare, the more you meet people, the more you expose yourself to the market and the gap areas, you will produce something better and more credible, and which will be useful for the outcome as well as produce results. But then training, when the participants come, you find a whole lot of different kind of age profiles. There are millennials, there are Generation A, Z, then there are the oldies like you and me also there, who got gray hairs. Of course, we can't see any hair on your head, but but as you used to always say that I don't have, mine is always hidden behind a turban, and the average length between our two hairs actually averages out. So, how do you think the trainer will handle the adult learners? The ones who are really experienced and the ones who are, now I'm coming straight to the the training part, the preparation part. I think we will.
Yeah, we've discussed that adequately.
Enough. Yes.
That's a very interesting question, Amarjit, that you've asked, because adult learning is quite different from child learning. If you were to tell a child about something, the child would, provided you're credible enough, and you're making some sense, the child would perhaps open its arms and its mind and listen to you and perhaps even believe you. The trouble with adult learning is that we have all got a whole hoard of experiences, or lifetime experiences, that we have brought with us. I may say, in some cases, that experience is beneficial, but in many cases, it is also a burden. See, when is the experience of an adult beneficial? It is beneficial because he's done it, and therefore he's wiser with it. That is very true. However, provided the environment is the same, then that learning experience in that constant environment, if you did it in a certain way, and he's done it 6 times before, it is workable. However, if the environment has changed and the person hasn't, then what he says is that, listen, my experience tells me this, but that was in a different environment. If the context is changed, that experience actually has become a handicap for that person to accept a new thought or an idea.
Yes.
Therefore, when a trainer is addressing an adult population, and the more experienced, the more difficult, because that person is full of himself, and in many cases rightly so, because he's reached that position by virtue of the experiences that he's had and the gray hairs that he's got, getting there. However, if you're trying to suggest, when you're doing a training, what are you trying to do? You are trying to change that person's capability in a small way, because you feel that this new capability of yours will help you to become more successful. Or you're trying to share a new strategic thought, a different way of doing something than what he was doing in the past. And you're trying to say to him that, listen, this is perhaps a way for you to consider doing. Now, the trouble is that he is not receptive to it. And a trainer can't say that, listen, I told you a good idea, you rejected it, that's your problem. No. A trainer has to actually be able to understand the psyche that will work so that that thought that he wants to trigger, which will bring forth that change, the other person has to do a buy-in. Now, quite often, we find that we have very experienced trainers. They say their bit, they're not willing to listen. Sometimes even I suffer from that. Okay.
We all suffer from that.
But a good trainer is one that is able to sell that idea so that it becomes acceptable, because you may have a brilliant idea, but if you're not able to get that person to buy into what you're saying, it's going to be a miserable flop.
Absolutely.
So therefore, what is it that we can do as a trainer to get the buy-in from the adult? What are the things that work for an adult so that the buy-in happens? I can think of a few, but Amarji, supposing I were to throw this ball at you,
Yes.
would you like to kind of share? And I would, not only throw it at you, I'm going to throw it at the audience. I'm looking at, you're trying to tell me, how can I sell my thought to an adult Buddha whose mind is, if I may say, he's a carouse, okay? And he's not willing to listen to what you have to say, and he's so full of himself. Who the hell are you? He tells you. So can I ask, some of the brilliant people sitting in this audience to try and pen down what is the tools and mechanisms that we can have so that we are able to open his mind out so that he's receptive to you.
Yeah, I can see some
Yes,
very good remarks in the
Devaki, I meant deeds. That is right. Well said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Amarjit. But whilst I get these questions coming, I'm asking you to tell me from your experience, how do you handle such people?
Yeah, I think, moving from a teaching to a more facilitation and utilizing the experience, as you rightfully said, of the adult learner to the context of training, and practicing that experience in front of the other audience in form of a role play or asking them to come up with their ideas or leading it through an exercise-led approach where we can use their experience and their gray hairs to address some of these gap areas and the expectations of the organization which the trainer is trying to address through his training programs. There we can utilize the adults with their experience and with their with the knowledge they have through these mediums, which will be acceptable, as well as the thought provocation will also take place in them. Whatever change and transformation the trainer is likely to bring about will be easier transiting. There'll be an easier transition to that, and then the acceptability of the adult to your training facilitation is much higher, and he feels involved and enabled in order to bring his best.
Okay, that's well said. No, I can now. I'm going to see from the chat box some people saying, he's a deed, leave him alone. No need to teach him. Sometimes that's why you're called into the program. He says, "Humse to hum uska sikha nahi paaye. You trainer sahab, come and retrain him." You know what to do. So you got no option. You can't leave him. Okay, but I see some other good suggestions here. See, I think the starting point, and some people have said it here also, what's in it for me, I can say, Thirumal, how you say that? That is absolutely. You got to kind of first show him the benefit proposition for any program. How will you benefit, from this? Now, the trouble is that, if you just throw that benefit proposition, then it becomes a sales story. Now, that benefit proposition, therefore, has to be substantiated. So how do you substantiate the benefit proposition? You substantiate the benefit proposition by relating to real life case situations, saying that, listen, in this situation, these people used it, and this is what they did, and this is how it worked, and this is how it benefited them. Okay. So, in other words, you got to bring forth credible solutions that have been tried and tested by in a similar situation. Other people have tried and tested it, and it has delivered outcome. So say, acha, okay, so it's tried and tested. Somebody's done it. Okay, that's right. Okay, another way to do it is what? Don't tell them the answer. What you do is you put a small case study. So you put a case study and say, okay, this is the situation, and in this case, what would you suggest? And then when you do it, you put them into small groups of 2 or 3 or 4 people. And if not, then get them to come in front and present what their case studies are. Now, what has happened is that quite often, the case, they are after all thinking people, and they themselves are able to come out with some fairly good suggestions. And since it's come from within them, there is a possibility of a buy. Now, 2 or 3 case studies on the same topic give 2 or 3 different views, and 2 or 3 different views, then you marry it together and add your view, then you have a buy-in. So therefore, you have to allow the adult to talk. He's full of thoughts and ideas. His experience is there. What you have to do is you have to be a devil's advocate. Okay, this is what you thought about, but what if the situation changes? Then what would you do? Now he would apply his mind. So therefore, what is it that he can do in that new context? It is for you to, as a trainer, ask the questions and allow him to find his answer. The internalization in such a way becomes that much more effective.
Yeah.
You, as a trainer, you may know the answer. Don't tell the answer. Help the people to arrive at the answer.
Absolutely.
And if you are able to do that, then the adult learning will happen in a much more internalized manner.
Yeah, I think Mukesh very well said. I think that really summed it up very well. How the entire, in fact, not only adult learning, for the entire participants in a training program, that methodology works very well, and that is the way the thought is provoked. That is the way the everybody participates. They are engaged, and they come out with their experiences through the exercises, and that is actually what is the real facilitation. And as opposed to teaching, or so we are moving from a telling mode to an eliciting mode actually.
That is right. Actually, another approach very successfully used these days is what's called experiential learning. Experiential learning, it's not what you say to him, it is what you kind of, teach him, but it is what you make him do. Okay, I'm going to quote I just picked up and I was checking before the program started. It says, tell me and I forget. Teach me, I may remember. Involve me and I learn. Now the involvement can happen by creating an experience where he has to feel that, okay, I never realized this. So that experiential learning can happen in functional training, where people are doing today, online mathematical models, saying it, okay, you're playing a game, 4 of you run this company, and 4 of you run this company, and 4 of you run this company, and they are able to, create a situation, ask the team members to take a call in terms of what they need to do in terms of investment or increasing their factory capability, or to strategize in terms of, how much money they should put behind the product, what price they should sell it in. And you have somebody else competing in the same industry, and it's a simulated model, and these are also computerized. So what they do is they put in their best thoughts and somebody else puts in his best thoughts, and actually you're competing because there are 2 companies competing in the same environment, and that simulation exercise then tells them, oh my God, I thought I would make a whopping profit. I am stuck with unsold inventory and they don't take us to my product. Now that is an experience, oh my God, that's huge learning. Or it could be experience in terms of behavioral skills. And we use this all the time. You play a team game, you can stand there and tell him a lot about team building or leadership. But supposing you were to, do a team game, you create somebody a leader, and you create a certain team members to support him, and then you observe, give them an activity to do, and see how that activity is kind of working out, and how the leader is behaving. Video recorded, play it back to him. Now, here is real time. He's experienced something. So experiential learning, now you can do a full program on experiential learning. You can have some small set of games on experiential learning. You can have some case studies on experiential learning. But experiential learning, opens the mind of a person who could be what I call what? Somebody used that word. I said khadus, and somebody said, another one. So help him to discover.
Yeah, and I think that is what is going to be the most Dhakad way of actually making an impact in the marketplace. That is what the trainer needs to skill himself or herself up in order to reach that level. So what we've covered, you've really covered so much in detail in the preparation stage. How much time we spend on preparation is a big investment you make. You talk about the return on investment levels of training. You talk about how you manage your audience. You talked about how to manage your issues in the gap areas. So we've covered now many areas: managing the issues, managing the people. But now you're going to manage yourself also in front of the audience. And in today's world, we are managing more or less on the e-learning mode or on the webinars or through the computers. So Mukesh, what are your thoughts on managing yourself a little bit better so that our trainer fraternity gets those the real-time tips also on how things are working
That
in
is right.
today's
No,
environment?
yeah, yeah. No, that's right. No, that's right. No TTT will be complete without, looking and addressing, the massive shift that has happened towards e-learning, right? Okay, but before I jump into e-learning, just to complete that last part, another part that tip I'd like to leave you as a trainer is, whenever you do a kind of, classroom training session or an e-learning session, always leave some action points. Okay, the program is not complete until the person does not go back and practice some of the actions that you have agreed and discussed. You know, then that will help you to kind of ensure that there is a certain degree of applicability to what you've done, and you are able to justify even to the management of what is the outcome. But let's kind of talk about you know this e-learning part that you're talking about. The fact is that Amarjit, e-learning is here to stay. It
Absolutely.
was before you know uh, the COVID, you know, uh, virus hit us, e-learning was beginning to take, you could see some certain shoots of our e-learning. And people would talk about blended learning, which means that you do e-learning and you support it with classroom training. And actually e-learning would perhaps constitute about 10-20% of it, and 80% would be perhaps, classroom or experiential learning training. But I think that, the COVID, you know, epidemic has turned and the pace, and this, which were what I call the shoots, that green shoots that you saw about e-learning, have suddenly matured into full-blown, plants, and in some cases, depending on the kind of industry that you're working on, become the banyan tree. E-learning, see, the fact is it's here to stay. There is no denying it. It
Absolutely.
is, internet speeds have improved, training methods have improved, many platforms are available on e-learning, right from webinars to, making online e-learning content, to artificial intelligence being used in e-learning. So therefore, if anybody has to stay and succeed as a trainer, you have to quickly master the tool and the platform of e-learning, both to market yourself as well as to deliver the training. Because today, one of the big challenges, and we'll try and spend some time about how to develop your business on e-learning, but to talk about how e-learning is a medium and what best the trainer can do. See, the fact is, today many e-learnings are happening in the form of a classroom session that we are doing right now as we speak. I'm sitting in front of my laptop. Some of you are sitting in front of your laptops, or maybe looking at it, on your
On
mobile
your cell
phone, your
phone.
smartphone.
Yes.
But actually, we at Indus have actually felt that there is a certain handicap in training you or imparting the training to you in the manner in which we are conducting it right now. A live session, a virtual classroom. We've created a studio in our office, and in the studio, it becomes a virtual classroom. You can transfer and change the background of the screen to whatever situation that you're talking about. You can do role plays. You can do transference of videos, which are handicapped right now in some of the platforms that we're using. Right now, if I were to play a video for you on the Zoom webinar, or Microsoft is even worse, It doesn't play. It's sticky. You know? And then the quality of the network further impacts the quality of the training that you're going to impart. Therefore, a studio setup will overcome many of these handicaps. So those of you who are seriously considering and are in the skill profession, it doesn't cost very much. Create a studio and use the studio. Next.
One of the questions coming from the audience is a very interesting one. When does a behavioral change happen? Does it happen at a knowledge level, or at an understanding level, or at a trying level? Because he says that the training period is only 6 to 8 hours, and in that short period, how do we make that change happen? I'm going to bring in another aspect to it, for Mukesh, for you to comment one last comment on
Right.
what about the attitude part? Attitude is a huge part of the behavior, and that drives your behavior actually. So, what do you think this entire the shift from between the knowledge to the understanding to the attitude, it is essential for both the participants as well as the trainer to work in a disciplined way.
The fact is that this is $1 million question. Can a 6-hour training program change the behavior of an individual?
Unlikely.
It's unlikely. The
Absolutely.
question is that it has to be follow-up. There has to be, firstly, the trainer can inspire you. The inspiration has to be solid. He has to do some kind of tectonic shift in making you realize how important it is. And if you're mature enough, it might sink in for it. Then you have to go and practice it. Initially, that first step that you will take, you will falter. Because the winds of change outside are blowing so hard that you get pushed back into your own normal comfort area. So you have to will it to practice it there. You're committed to yourself. If it's an organization, then the organization, your boss can help you. Your HR department can help you, to this thing where they can reward, certain types of behavior. And if you do that behavior, then those rewards will help you to kind of, further your career path, or you will see by doing those actions, your team has benefited and you have benefited. So you have to see the benefit before it becomes a behavior. So first is listen to it, understand it, practice it, and then only they say that if you practice something 17 times, then perhaps it might result in a behavioral change, right? So that is all behavioral change. But no, I'm still not kind of finished with the e-learning part. I think that you need to have different capability if you're conducting a program on e-learning. See what is available to you. One is, of course, there is a certain limitation on how your body language can show. Okay, body language has certain limitations because you can only see the face of that person. Your voice is, however, the medium. You need to kind of use your voice to best advantage. Somebody said that, they like my enthusiasm. Okay, Thirumal. Yes, your enthusiasm has to be infectious. If you are in a e-learning platform, then you have to show the enthu, and that it is the transference of the enthu from the trainer to the participant which will make the impact. So you need to kind of look at that as a medium. Train yourself on that. Okay, of course, we try and use the chat box, but listen, I'm saying I should use the chat box, but I'm doing a 1-hour session. Actually, I should be talking to you using your chat box more, because some of you will probably, have many things to say, and I'm not be able to kind of hear what you have to say. Yeah? Okay. But essentially, remember, any training program is like a show, a tamasha, if you call it, a serious tamasha. You got to have all the elements to it. You got to have drama, you got to have case studies. You got to be serious. You got to make people laugh. You got to make people do. I mean, it's like a Hindi movie, yeah? Can you imagine a Hindi movie where there's no emotion? Just shut it off, no, it'll be a flop. You want to make a flop, you want to make a hit show? I mean, this is no less. And these have to be orchestrated and thought of before you are able to kind of conduct your program. Okay, so that is as far as, I think the e-learning. I mean, however, e-learn marketing is another tool that we can use as trainers. It is a Dhakad tool. It is absolutely Dhakad. You need to understand the medium. There are people who are doing fantastic jobs. It could be a complete new session, if I were to kind of, start on that. But online marketing is an opportunity, boss.
Absolutely. Look at our own case. I mean, in the last about 2.5 months now, how many times are we now sitting virtually every single day in front of the computer and e-learning on training programs for various corporates now? Absolutely.
So let us, leave it at that note.
Absolutely.
I'll only end by saying that yes, one of the best investments is the investment of in your mind, both for yourself as a trainer and as well as for the audience. Okay? So therefore, invest. As a trainer, one more tip. In every program, especially if it's a repetitive kind of program, it gets boring. So try and do something which you think you cannot do. And that way you will learn something new of how to do it. So experiment, boss.
Absolutely. In fact, the hunger in your stomach should be for learning. Absolutely. And as Peter Drucker says it, no one learns as much about a subject as one who is forced to teach it. So trainers are normally, they're automatic candidates for learning actually. So I think we belong to a wonderful fraternity of trainers where we, if we do it seriously, we are learning each day. And as one of the participants put, learning is never ending actually.
That is right. Okay, I think, I just like to, we've run, I think we are okay on time?
Yeah,
or we kind of,
I think we're almost at the end now. Yeah.
So let us, kind of conclude it here. I wish you all well in this fraternity. Especially those of you who are in the training line, from the training line. Those of you who are not in the training line also, you're working in corporates. As a corporate, if you want to succeed, you've got to become a coach and trainer for your people. So the discussion that we are having here is perhaps equally apt to you. Right? You need to kind of coach people to get better, and if they get better, you will get better. So I wish you luck on this journey of yours. However, we have attempted to give you a train the trainer in a 1-hour session. Amarjit normally conducts this over 4 days. He runs a special program on Train the Trainer, and it's a 4-day program. So my submission to you is, yes, if you are keen to enlarge your training capabilities, please do register with us. We will be happy to take you through that journey. It requires longer engagement. It could take, these are six sessions of 100 minutes each. We will reach out to you. Now, we do not have the names and, email IDs of some of the participants who are with us today. I'm going to request you as we speak, please put your email IDs so that we can keep you informed of the various Dhakad programs which we continue to do. I can already share with you, we've got 2 very interesting programs coming up on the coming Friday and the Friday after that. I'm sure that many of you are perhaps familiar with the Bollywood personality. His name is Mr. Sriram Raghavan. Sriram Raghavan is perhaps one of the most creative directors and
Absolutely.
in the Bollywood today. Now, I have specially invited him to join us on the next webinar so that he can share with us that how creativity works for it in Bollywood, and creativity and innovation also works in the corporate world. So he's going to kind of spend time in talking to us with us that. So you want to kind of register with us. I'm again requesting you, please share your email IDs as we are speaking, because if we have your email ID, we can kind of, reach out to you and share with you the program that we are, handling. I can also share with you on the subsequent Friday after Mr. Sriram Raghavan's program, I have a very, very renowned personality from the corporate world. His name is Mr. Siddiqui. Mr. Siddiqui is the executive director in Maruti, and he is the head of HR and a coach and a transformer at that. And he is going to come and share with us, and especially as you're aware, the auto sector has gone through a dramatic shakeout.
Yeah, dramatic
and
shift now.
He is going to tell us how, in difficult times, organizations overcome difficulty and come out winning. So maybe he will share with us some real-time examples. So they're both very eminent personalities. Do not miss those programs. However, my other thing is that, I was beginning to say, if you want to substantially impact your capability, we offer two very serious programs. One is a sales program. It's the Dhakad sales program. And if you want to become a sales champion, come and join us. We run 6 sessions, and they're power-packed sessions. It'll help you to become an extremely successful salesperson. The second program that we're running is a young leaders program, and Mr. Amarjit is going to share with you how you can become a successful leader, a Dhakad leader at that.
Yeah, and we're starting those programs. The leadership program is starting tomorrow. Sales one is already on, and the second one runs tomorrow, but you can still join in.
Yeah. These programs run every Saturday. It's a 100-minute session, and there's 6 sessions, 1 a week. But if you're going to join this program, I must tell you, you'll have to work. I mean, it's not a session where you will sit back and listen to a webinar. It's our business to push you, and we will push you. So you're willing to kind of improve and come and improve your capabilities, come and join us.
And we're going to use all the tools which Mukesh mentioned in the Train the Trainer webinar.
There is a small cost. It's a very, very easy payment program. It costs just some 3,600 rupees, approximately that. Normally that program is marketed for 6,600, but for the attendees of the webinar, this program is available to you for 3,600 rupees. It's a bargain. So join that program. I wish you luck.
Just 600 rupees per session, actually.
That's right.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you very much. Loud, round of applause for both the gurus. Thank you very much for a lot of insight. And Mukesh, sir, I really, really sometimes, envy of the kind of, the Josh that you have. Sometimes I feel that you are a little younger than me. Eh? So, thank you very much. And thank you very much, sir.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Yes. See you again. Do come and join us next Friday.
Yes.
Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. Well, that's a wonderful way to end the session. Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Amarjit Singh, and thank you very much, Mr. Mukesh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very much, audience.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for a wonderful audience that we have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So
Thank you.
please I would request you all to please leave your name and number. This program and the frequent programs, we would have Mr. Raghavan. He's a very well-known figure. We would have very limited seats. We would be preferring people, those who have joined us on our, WhatsApp. We would prefer those people first. So please, leave your number. We will be adding you on our WhatsApp group. There is a lot of informative session, lot of information that flows out in that group. You would be really benefited. That's my. Then again, leave your details with us. The programs that Mr. Khetrapal and Mr. Amarjeet Singh has told you, very serious programs about leadership. They are absolutely wonderful program. As they said that you have to work. It is not a sit down and listen to the webinar kind of program. It certainly add value. Now, people, those who have been joining us, I am very happy. Thank God it's Friday. It's time to unwind. Let's get back and have some beer and enjoy our evening. But people, those who are, would be joining us again, I would be waiting for everybody for this next and the forthcoming successful program. Thank you very much. Good evening and Jai Hind.
Wonderful insight, Mukesh. Thank you very much. And wonderful, Saurabh ji. It was really insight and tries to be transformations. All the best for the wonderful journey ahead. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to interact with all of you, sir. I am really privileged to be part of it. Thank you very much, Saurabh ji. Thank you very much. Anil here.
Yes, sir. I could certainly relate to your beautiful voice. Thank you very much. We at the studio are also, kind of very happy to see you and your smiling face, which I can certainly see. The team over here works very hard to do a lot of, research and development before any program is done. And we try to add value to the society in this. I would certainly, thank my team, my leaders, my people who have given me this opportunity to run this 12th webinar. And last week when I was not well, I had a very wonderful colleague of mine who took my place and, he was running the program like a tiger. So thank you very much and good evening.
Once again, I would like to come in. Sorry for chip in. First of all, congratulations for the team for first dozen competition. This is the first dozen, 12th one. And I must appreciate on bluntly, openly to the graphics who used to make in your team. Kindly convey my congratulations. He used to do a wonderful job. Wonderful job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The team is saying thumbs up, and I'm certainly sharing it with you. You can see that. Thank you very much, sir. I wish you a very happy weekend and stay put, stay learning, stay radiant. Thank you.